Today we'll be looking at the Pyramid Sequencer from Squarp Instruments, and instead of focusing on these individual sections, we're going to build up and use the sections together, and that'll be from track creation, using step mode or live mode to save our steps, or in the live recording mode our playback, and then we'll use the sequencer to sequence them. I'll try and use as many of the things that we can use with the pyramid, although I will be keen to keep the video reasonably short. So we've got a TR8 connected on channel 10, base station 2, a sub 37 on channel 6, an Ultranova on 5, and the Roland JDXI. We've got the sequencing options of channel 1, 2 or 10 or 3, depending on the parts that we want. So let's just get a beat started on in a traditional sense. So to do that we need a track to lay it on. There's one already here. I'm going to do track and channel and send this to channel 10. Now we are at the moment on bank A, and on bank A we can have 1 to 16 tracks. We're on track 1, so let's just pop into step mode, and I know that the Roland starts on C2, so if I do that, there we are. Now I know I'm pressing the encoder and you can hear the sound. This is the quick way that we sample, or not sample, that we hear what's going to happen. So let's just do that, and doing track and length tells me it's 4 bars, so we'll leave it at that for the demonstration. So if I press play now, it'll do what you expect. That's fine. I'll pop the snare up in there, which is D2. Now we've got the snare, so I'm going to set that on the 3rd, and so I'm going to speed up the BPM. We'll leave it at that. So that's our first track. Now we want to use a variety of tracks to sequence different synths, but we'll put some another track on this one. So I'm going to press track and 2. So now I have 2 tracks on bank A. One we've made the pattern already, the second one we haven't. So let's send that to channel 10. So we now know that that is where it's going to go. Now we don't want to hear track 1, so the sequencer uses mute states. So that is now muted, track 1, and you can see from the display it's become pixelated, and the 2 bars above and below tells us that we're on track 2. So now let's flip over back to the step mode, and let's put a different slightly different sequence in. And let's try that. And let's okay, so now we've now what you can see now is that I've gone to the note G2 sharp, and it's now playing a different part. But so the steps here relate to that particular note. So if I let's see. Okay, so there's a little bit of variety now. I won't go any more into the drums because you've seen exactly what we can do here. So let's now think about, I'm going to make this very easy. I'm going to move the encoder to B. So now I'm on another bank, and in this bank I'm going to, what shall we sequence? We'll make some kind of arpeggiated line in this one. So I'm going to send this to the Ultranova. Okay, so we've created the track 1. We want to send that to synth on MIDI 5. And now, if this section is just like a typical keyboard. But the bottom section allows me to use a thing called smart pads, and if I push the encoder you'll see the different inversions, and we can call these back. So if I do a 1, 4, 5, I can create a nice sequence like that. So let's just do that, and you can see here in the corner of the screen that there's 4, so that's a 4-bar loop. So if I press record, essentially it's armed now. When I press play, it'll start recording what I play after the metronome. So let's say I didn't like that, so I'm going to go into the track, go second delete, and that's deleted that now. So now you can't hear anything apart from the drums. So we'll go back into live section. And we'll do that again. So I've just pretended I've mucked it up so we can start again. Now you'll see that it's stopped now. It can carry on an overdub if we want it to, but it's not set up like that at the moment. So there's one variation. So that's 1, 4, 5. So let's create another track. This now becomes B2, and we're going to mute B1. So B1's muted, we're on B2, and we'll come back here. So let's use the step chord mode so that you can see that. So if I go to chord, now you can see they've done it like this. Okay, so let's go 1, 4, and let's go 5, and 4, 2, 4, and let's send it to 5 there. And let's do something different here. 1, 5, 5, 4, 4, and let's go to 1. Now that's arbitrary. We'll play that now. Now we can change the states because we have mute states, so we're hearing this one. If I flip back over to the other one, now they're both muted, so you don't hear that. Okay, so let's make up a quick bass line. So let's go on to C now. Track 1, we go channel, then channel 6, which is the sub 37. As you can hear there, and let's just put something very simple in. So we know we're in G major scale, so let's go into step mode. Okay, I like the so let's do something just very simple. So there's a sequence. Okay, so on D, let's build that up a little bit more by bringing in the bass station and popping something else in there. So if I now tell this to create a new track, and in fact before we do that I'll flip back over to C and we'll put a different sequence in here just to prove the point, and we'll go back into step mode. Okay, so what I've done here is we've got another track now, and we're using the Euclid algorithm, so we can change the so that's got an alternative for the bass. So now what we'll do is we'll add just a little bit of effect on another track, and this time I'll select D and then I'll create it, and I want to go to channel 8, and now if I let's put that sound in there, and let's go down. I'll press this key so I'm going down a couple of octaves. And I wonder if we can't do something with that. So I'm going to just do a simple sequence there. So now we'll do an alternative. So what we'll try is we'll go into effects also, we'll put the harmonizer on, and we'll see if we can get, now there we go, let's bring that down to there, and let's bring that one up by, now it should, because it's a okay, so I'm happy with that. So what we'll do now is we've looked at track, step and live, we've added effects, we've done things various ways. So now what we'll do is we'll go into, we know we're already in sequence 1 because it says on the screen, and if you look here we can see sequence 1. So what we should do first is put our mute states in, because we're already in sequence 1. So I'm going to go to A, and I'm bringing in sequence 1 with bank A, track 1 unmuted, track 2 is muted as you can see here. Now I'll go to B, we're already with 1, so now I'll go to C and I'll unmute track 1. Now I'll go to D, I'll mute 2 and unmute 1. Now that is a mute unmute state. So that's attached to sequence 1. So if I go sequence 2 now and then press O2, this is a new sequence. So what I'll do now is put a different set of states in there. So I'll go to A, I'll mute 1, unmute 2, go to B, do the same, go to C, do the same, go to D, do the same. So there's the basis of our very simple idea here. So what we can do now is we can chain them together. So if I do sequence and I push here, it wants me to set the sequence number. So I've said 1 by pressing again. I want the full 4 bars, so that's set that. Now it's asking me for another sequence number. Now in this case I've only got 2 sequences, so I'll put sequence 2 in. And we want the 4 bars, which I'm setting here because we can change that, so that's great, and that's set. Now what I'm going to do is I'm going to move this to play mode. Now if I press play, the sequence will play and then stop. So if I do play, and we can see we're waiting for sequence 2 to come. And there we go. Now we could have put more in there, and we've certainly plenty more tracks to play around with and plenty of scope. But that basically shows you that we've used various combinations of these things with these 4 modes, and we can play other ways, but I'll show you that in another video. Anyway, I hope you've enjoyed it. It's short but sweet and shows you how essentially we can get from 0 to something very easily, and use a variety of instruments as well.